Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and hearty welcome to all of you to the SCI webinar series being conducted by IAPWC Maharashtra. So we are really thankful to the IAP to provide us the Zoom platform. I am from the technical team, Dr. Smarnika Das, welcoming you all over here. So we are doing a live stream on YouTube. To get regular updates on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and also press the bell button on the IAP India YouTube channel to get regular notifications. So our speaker will be taking the topic today, and I would request everybody, whatever questions you have, please write down on the chat box, which will be taken by our moderator from IAPWC Maharashtra. Um, and to start the session, I want to just introduce the moderators here. So we have Dr. Suvarna Ganveer, the IAPWC State Coordinator, Joint Coordinator, Dr. Snehal Patel, and Sub-Coordinator, Dr. Nirali Sangvi, and Dr. Priya Karande. So I would like to request Dr. Nirali to start with the introduction. And we have a wonderful speaker today, Dr. Uttara Mohan. All the best to the whole IAPWC Maharashtra team.
Good evening, one and all. Welcome each one of you to day 2 of our webinar series on SCI. Welcome, Dr. Uttara Mohan. It is a privilege to have you here to talk on the topic of wheelchair guidelines. So today she is going to talk about clinical guidelines for wheelchair selection. Dr. Uttara Mohan has done her MPT Neuro from Manipal University with 10 years experience. She is also certified for PNF level 1, 2, and 3A from USA, Wheelchair Service Training Basic from International Society of Wheelchair Professionals USA, Clinical Neurodynamics from Australia, PT Management in SCI from International Spinal Cord Society. She is presently a consultant at Neurophysio Clinic, Health Clinic at Airoli and runs her own clinic at Thane, Navi Mumbai. She has been a resource person for neuro rehab topics like wheelchair skills training. She has presented in first Manipal International PT Conference on wheelchair skill training for SCI. She was a resource person for hands-on workshop training in PT management for paraplegic, PT management for quadriplegics as well. She has also contributed for wheelchair sports activities. She is also awarded for outstanding achievements in neuro rehabilitation at Paraplegic Foundation. It is a great pleasure to have you here, ma'am. Dr. Uttara Mohan, can you please take over?
Are you able to see my screen?
Dr. Uttara, your screen is visible.
Very good evening to all. Today I'll be talking about clinical guidelines for wheelchair selection in spinal cord injury. So when it comes to prescribing wheelchair for SCI patients and they are not able to move, so the wheelchair is as a form of mobility for the patient. Also in some patients who are ambulating with assistive devices and orthosis, the energy expenditure is more. In those patients they might use wheelchair for a longer distance travel and to make easy and energy conserved movement. So when it comes to prescribing a wheelchair, as per the WHO guidelines, an appropriate wheelchair would be that which meets the user's needs. That is in how the patient is going to use, how much long time they sit on the wheelchair, what all activities they perform using the wheelchair. These things need to be taken into consideration, and wheelchair should be able to support all these needs of the user. environment, like in the home and Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, it is audible now. You can restart screen share.
So the wheelchair dimensions should match the requirement of the wheelchair user. As in, the wheelchair shouldn't be too large or too narrow for the patient, and that will make it uncomfortable for the patient. The wheelchair also should support the proper posture of the patient. So depending on the patient's requirement, sitting balance and stability, accordingly the wheelchair has to be prescribed. Also, it should be maintained and repaired locally, like if some parts needs repairing, or there is some damaged part which needs to be replaced, it should be possible locally. So these things should be kept in mind while prescribing a wheelchair for a patient. So now, based on these points, what do you think you would consider while selecting a wheelchair for a patient? What things you would check for in the patient history and also in the assessment findings? So you can put the points in the chat section, what you feel are the factors you would consider. Yes, level of injury is correct. What other things you would consider? Yes, that is correct. The about the limb dimensions, patient body measurements also you would consider. Yes, the muscle strength is also an important thing. Okay, socioeconomic condition also you can consider to know the cost of the wheelchair and affordability. Yes, so most of you all have put the right answers. So when you select a wheelchair for a patient, you should consider the level of injury. Also, you have to check whether it's a complete or incomplete injury. If incomplete, you have to consider the muscle strength below the level of injury also, along with the muscle strength above the level of injury. Their muscular endurance and cardiovascular endurance will also matter in riding the wheelchair. The sitting posture and sitting trunk control will also make a difference. How good the patient has sitting balance, that much less support they will expect from the wheelchair. So these things you have to check. Also the environment, whether the road is uneven or leveled, if there are ramps, if say patient is working on a desk, so the height of the desk, if they are going for studies, if they are student, the accessibility, and whether the wheelchair that you select will allow them to access these places, that also needs to be considered. Their routine lifestyle and ideals also need to be checked, like how much time they spend sitting on the wheelchair, what all activities they do moving around in the wheelchair. All these things should be considered. Also the transfers and the wheelchair skills that they perform, that also needs to be taken into consideration. The features in the wheelchair should be such that it doesn't hinder their transfers and wheelchair skills. Age is also an important point. An older individual will have lesser endurance, they might fatigue very fast. So these things have to be considered. So you can go more in terms of a lightweight wheelchair, easy to maneuver the wheelchair. You also check for the associated injuries or deformities, like say if there is a limb length discrepancy, if there is any associated fracture or wounds, pressure sores, any deformity in the upper lower limb or trunk. These things also should be considered while selecting the wheelchair type. So if you see here, this is the ideal posture the wheelchair user should assume while sitting on the wheelchair. So you can see in the lateral view, the neck is in the center, the spine is following the near normal curvature, pelvis is in neutral, not tilted anterior or posteriorly, hip, knee and ankle should be around 90 degrees angle. Same way in the frontal plane, you can see the patient is sitting in the center, not rattle flexed to any side. Their thighs are parallel to each other with slight amount of space between the thighs in order to not have friction between the thighs. This kind of posture should be maintained. In case of patients who are having severe muscle weakness like in higher level injury or some deformities, you should consider that the patient should try to come to as near to this normal posture as possible while sitting on the wheelchair. So when you select a wheelchair, it should be such that it supports the patient to maintain this normal ideal posture. So you can see in this case, this is a lower level spinal cord injury patient, a paraplegic. You can see on the left hand side, the posture is wrong, whereas on the right, you can see he's sitting in the correct posture. So in the left, you can see his pelvis is too much in front. So this has a risk of patient sliding off the seat and falling while maneuvering the wheelchair. Also, there is shearing stretch on the spine. So this will increase the strain on the back muscles. There will be likely back pain. Also, high risk of pressure sore on the posterior aspect of the spine and the pelvis. So patients should be encouraged to sit in a proper way and they have to be guided accordingly. So when you prescribe wheelchairs for the patient, a spinal cord injury may either use a powered wheelchair or a manual wheelchair. Usually patients with high level of injury would like to go for a powered wheelchair, especially those who have limited or no hand function. Also in case of patients who have very high level of fatigue, they might prefer to go for a powered wheelchair as a energy conservation mode. So when it comes to a powered wheelchair, you can have different variations of controls. In the first picture, you see it is a sip and puff control. In this, there is a piece that is held by the patient in between their lips, sipping and the puffing movement done from the mouth. This controls the wheelchair in moving forward, backward, and turning the wheelchair. You might also have a chin control or a head control. So if you can see, the head control is over here on the upper side near the headrest, and you have a chin control below. So it might have any one of these two or both in the same wheelchair. So this helps to control the movement. So these two types of wheelchairs are prescribed for patients who don't have a hand function, especially for up to C4 level of injury and above. These patients who are weaned off the ventilator and can manage to maneuver the wheelchair with their head movements can use these types of wheelchair. The third wheelchair that you see is a hand control wheelchair. So it may be in the form of a joystick or buttons to control it. This can be used by patients who have a limited hand function, say for a C5 or C6 injury, who are not able to easily propel the manual wheelchair. They can use this kind of a powered wheelchair with the hand control. So when it comes to power wheelchair, there are different types of drive. Depending on the position of the rear wheel, that is the large wheel, the drive will differ and the wheelchair moving also will differ. So you can see if the rear wheel is on the posterior side, it is called a rear wheel drive. If it is in the center, it's mid wheel drive. If it is at the front side, it's a front wheel drive. So depending on this, the wheelchair maneuvering has to be trained for the patient, because in this what happens is the wheelchair moves on the axis of the rear wheel, the large wheel. So especially in terms of when the patient wants to turn the wheelchair, to turn the direction, it matters where the rear wheel is, because the wheelchair will rotate as an axis on the rear wheel and the caster wheel will move around in a circular motion in the direction of turn. So if you have a patient who is moving wheelchair on confined spaces with powered wheelchair, it is better to go for a mid-wheel drive because the axis is in the center. So the arc of turning will be short, whereas for the rear wheel and front wheel drive, the arc of turning is very large. So you need a little more space for turning the wheelchair. So this thing has to be considered while prescribing a powered wheelchair for a patient. Some of the wheelchairs also come with a tilting mechanism. It might have just a backrest tilting, or it might have a tilt in space. This type of additional feature can be opted for in the wheelchair if the patient spends a lot of time sitting. So if they are not frequently changing the position, moving out of the wheelchair, this tilting can be done in the same way with those control sensors the patient use for riding the wheelchair, and they can independently do a tilting and relieve the pressure and reduce the risk of a pressure sore. In manual wheelchair, there are many more features which you need to see. Like in this, I'll be first talking about the name of the parts, so that when further I refer to the modifications, variation in the parts, you can correlate. So here you see the backrest, you have the seat below, you have a cushion over the seat. The wheel on the posterior side, the large wheel is called the rear wheel. The front wheel is called the caster wheel. So you have a footrest. The vertical upright of the footrest is called the footrest hanger. You might have a strap, like here you see a calf strap. The ring around the rear wheel with which the patient pushes the wheelchair is called the push rim. The handle on the posterior side of the backrest is the push handle. If the caregiver is helping the patient to push the wheelchair, they'll be using the push handle. So in backrest, there are different variations. Wheelchair may have a low backrest or a high backrest. In low backrest wheelchair, the support given by the wheelchair is less. So this can be prescribed in patients who are able to sit independently with good posture. So you can assess them by making them sit on a bed unsupported. You can see how well they are maintaining the posture. If they're able to sit erect and maintain the balance, then you can go for a low backrest wheelchair. If their sitting balance is less, they are slouching too much, if there's a kyphotic posture or they're losing balance, then preferably go for a high backrest wheelchair. So you can see here on the left side, lower level spinal cord injury. He's easily able to sit on a low backrest wheelchair, whereas on the right side, you can see it is a higher level spinal cord injury. He needs more support for sitting balance. So he is using a high backrest wheelchair. So to correlate the height of this backrest, a low backrest wheelchair would come around up to the lower end of the ribs. A high backrest wheelchair would come somewhere near the inferior angle of the scapula. So the backrest may also have a tilting option. This is preferred when the patient wants to recline and relax on the wheelchair. Some of the quadriplegics also prefer to keep the wheelchair slightly tilted. That makes their sitting more comfortable. So they might go for about 10 or 20 degrees of reclining when they're sitting on the wheelchair. So there are also a reclining wheelchair. In this, you can see the backrest can be made fully horizontal and the footrest also can be lifted up. This is useful in the initial stages of rehab when a patient tends to have more of a postural hypotension. So if the blood pressure fluctuates, you don't need to shift them to the bed. You can just recline the wheelchair and they can rest. Once the blood pressure normalizes, again they can be brought back to vertical. So this makes it easy for the caregivers, so they don't have to frequently shift the patient when the hypotension occurs. Wheelchairs can also be additionally fitted with a tray if required. This is useful if the patient tends to do ADLs sitting in the wheelchair. So in this position, patient can keep the objects on the tray, can perform activities. Even in some quadriplegics, they find it more comfortable to sit with their forearm resting on the tray. So that gives an extra sitting balance and stability for them. When the patient has to maneuver the wheelchair, the tray has to be removed. Otherwise, it will block the reach to the push rim of the wheelchair. The folding mechanism. There are two types of folding mechanism that you can have in a wheelchair. One is on the left side, you can see the folding occurs at the midline of the wheelchair, or you can have a wheelchair which bends at the backrest, at the angle between the seat and the backrest. So the backrest comes down towards the seat and then you fold it like the other wheelchairs. So this folding mechanism is required, especially if the patient tends to travel by public transport or own four-wheeler or two-wheeler, as the wheelchair needs to be lifted and placed inside the vehicle. For these reasons, folding mechanism is more convenient. So it will occupy less space and it will easily fit into the vehicle. So if you have a patient traveling outdoor, it's better you go for a wheelchair which is folding and not go for a wheelchair with a rigid frame. So in the seat, you might have a solid seat or a slung seat. The solid seat that you can see, it can be a metal seat with a cushion here in the blue colored wheelchair that you can see. Or you can have a wooden solid seat. Slung seat would be a cloth like upholstery material which can be easily folded. So if you have patients with higher level of injury with less sitting control and stability, you can prefer a solid seat instead of a slung seat because that supports the posture much better than a slung seat. In a slung seat, it will sink down a little once the patient sits on the wheelchair. So the support comparatively is slightly less. Also, in you have to see in terms of whether the patient needs a folding mechanism for traveling. If you need a folding mechanism for traveling, some of these solid seat wheelchairs, the seat can be slided out and removed, and then the wheelchair can be folded at the midline. So if you want folding, you go for such solid seat wheelchairs with a folding. Otherwise, the wheelchair, some of the solid seat wheelchairs also come with a rigid frame. So you have to check for these things based on the patient's routine and the requirement. There is also option of a commode wheelchair. This is like a wheelchair with a commode bin below. So if the patient doesn't want to keep like a separate wheelchair and a commode chair, they can go for a commode wheelchair. The commode part below can be removed, detached and fixed again at any time. The seat above, which you can see in this, it's removed and kept below. The seat can be anytime fixed or slided out. So once the seat is slided out, they can use it like a commode. Once they are finished using it, they can again fix the seat and use the wheelchair as regularly. This is beneficial in patients who have toilet at far away, not easily accessible, or if say it's an Indian toilet or there are steps or it's at a height, then instead of going for a separate commode chair, they can use it in the wheelchair itself anytime. So it's convenient to have both things in one. When it comes to armrest, it can be a high armrest or a low armrest. So you can see in the first image, this is a high armrest, this is a low armrest. So when the armrest is high, you have to make sure that it is not too high that the patient finds it difficult to reach the push rim and propel the wheelchair. So it should be of a lesser height. For spinal cord injury, they are more comfortable with lower armrest wheelchairs like in the center picture. So these lower armrests give easy reach to the push rim and the patient can easily maneuver the wheelchair. So sometimes even the armrest can be a fixed one or a detachable one. If it is a detachable one, like in the middle picture, here there is a lock which can be released and the wheelchair's armrest can be pulled back. In the third image, you see there is no armrest at all. So some of the active wheelchairs, which are lightweight, low backrest wheelchairs used by lower level spinal cord injury, in these, it even comes without an armrest. It may or may not have a wheel guard on the space between the wheel and the seat that may be there. In this, you don't see a wheel guard. So you have to decide on the type of armrest depending on the patient's transfer skills. If the patient is going to do a bed to wheelchair transfer by lifting the pelvis, it's better to have an armrest removable wheelchair so that the armrest can be moved out of the way. If the patient is say paraparetic or incomplete injury with some amount of strength in the lower limb, they sometimes prefer a transfer from standing position. In that case, the armrest being in place is helpful so that the patient holds the armrest and then shifts off to the bed. So you can see here on the left side, this is a higher level injury patient with the lower limb completely paralyzed. So they is shifting with the armrest removed, flipped back, and the patient is weight bearing entirely on the upper limb and transferring from the wheelchair to the bed. In this, the armrest removable option should be preferred. Whereas on the right hand side, you can see it's a paraparetic patient who's standing up with the feet on the ground and shifting. You can see he's actually holding the armrest and transferring. So one hand on the bed, one hand on the armrest while shifting from bed to wheelchair or wheelchair to bed. So based on the patient's mode of transferring, you can decide whether you want the armrest detachable or a fixed one. For the footrest hanger, that is the vertical upright here, it can be a fixed one like we had for the armrest, or it can be a swing away one. The fixed one will only have a folding at the foot pad. This can fold to the side, but it will not move out of the way. Whereas in a swing away footrest, it can be unlocked and swing to the outer side. So the use for this is if you have a patient who does transfer from wheelchair to floor, floor to wheelchair, those who need to sit on the floor for their routine, you can see in this the footrest has been moved away so the patient can shift on the floor. Otherwise, if the footrest is in place, the patient will end up keeping their pelvis on the footrest and there are chances for friction and injury. So if this kind of transfer is done, go for a footrest swing away, or footrest detachable feature also is there in some wheelchairs. If the patient is not going to do wheelchair to floor, or fixed footrest will also be fine, it will not matter. Some wheelchairs come with footrest angulation. So you can see the footrest can be lifted up to 90°. So if suppose the patient has a tendency to develop frequent pedal edema and patient sits for long time on wheelchair, instead of looking for some support wherein they can place their feet elevated, they can easily use this feature in the wheelchair to elevate the footrest so that the leg is up in the horizontal position. So this is beneficial. Also in patients who are having lower limb deformities like a knee deformity, if say the knee is not flexing to 90°, you can angulate one of the footrest in such a way that it supports the position of the leg. So this feature should be opted for in a wheelchair if the patient needs to elevate the leg. For all spinal cord injury patients, it is better to keep some strap or pad support for the legs, because this will make sure that the legs are resting on the footrest and they don't fall out of the footrest. So in this, you can see the strap can be in two forms. Either you might have a calf strap or you will have an ankle strap. So ankle strap can be used if the patient is not having excessive high tone or spasticity issues. This will adequately support the leg and make sure that the foot remains on the footrest. If patient has severe spasticity or excess flexor spasms, it's better to go for a calf strap, because this will block the knee going into a flexion and hitting against the crossbar behind. You can see the crossbar on the posterior side, and also it prevents the foot going and injuring on the wheel. So if you have a lot of flexor spasms and flexion happening in the leg, go for a calf strap instead of ankle strap. Alternate option, like you can see in the third image, it is a calf pad. So instead of a calf strap, you can even use a calf pad. Some of the wheelchairs come with fitted calf pads. So both support the leg in the same way. So like we talk about a base of support in balance, the wheelchair stability also depends on the base of support formed by the wheelchair. This is called as a wheelbase. So the wheelbase is the distance between the axle of the rear wheel to the axle of the caster wheel, the horizontal distance. Wider the wheelbase, more stable the wheelchair, and less chances for the wheelchair tilting back and the patient falling. If the wheelbase is shorter, there is more risk of the wheelchair tipping. So this will determine the stability of the wheelchair. So in a short wheelbase, you can see the caster wheel is in between the rear wheel and the footrest. So this is a short wheelbase four-wheel wheelchair. You can even have a long wheelbase wheelchair, like you can see here on the left side, the caster wheel is below the footrest, so the distance between both the wheels is wider. So this is longer wheelbase, gives more stability. So if the patient has less control on wheelchair maneuvering and you feel there is a risk of the wheelchair tilting backward and the patient falling, or if the patient is going more on an uneven surface and not good at controlling the wheelchair, then you can prefer for a large wheelbase wheelchair. Or you can also go for a three wheelbase, long wheelbase wheelchair, like you can see on the right hand side. This is very much helpful, especially in patients who are riding the wheelchair on uneven soft surfaces like mud. So if the patient doesn't ride the wheelchair on a cemented area, the access areas, the road is uneven, This gives the best stability. So especially in the patients who are in the rural regions, they have this difficulty that the roads are not proper. So for those patients, you can rather prefer for the three-wheeled wheelchair instead of the regular four-wheel wheelchairs that we usually prescribe. So for the push rim, the ring around the rear wheel, there are two variations. One is the regular push rim that you can see on the left side. This is commonly seen in all wheelchairs. You can also have a push rim projection like you can see on the right side. These push rim projections can be separately bought and fitted into any manual wheelchair if the patient requires it. So what is the advantage in this is the patient who has a limited hand function, they find it difficult to grip and push the regular push rim. So these patients can go for the push rim projections. So you can see here. So you can see here patient maneuvering the wheelchair with these hand rim projections. So this makes it easy for him to maneuver instead of directly holding the regular push rim ring and propelling the wheelchair. So these kind of additional fitting can be opted for in patients who have difficulty in propelling a manual wheelchair. So this is a patient for C5 injury. Often you might see a C5, C6 injury with limited hand function. If they are not using a powered wheelchair and they are instead using a manual wheelchair, these push rim projections are very useful for them for comfortably propelling the wheelchair. Alternate feature that you can go for is a propelling lever. This can be fitted additionally onto a wheelchair if say the patient is not able to propel with the regular push rim or these projections. You can have this propelling lever. It's easier as the lever is long, it can be reached easily and propelling the wheelchair becomes very easy. So these can be extra fitted into the wheelchair if the patient is having difficulty in propelling. Also, one more advantage in this is the strain on the shoulder is less. So if you have patient who's having shoulder pain or discomfort with riding the wheelchair, they can go for this kind of propelling levers. So rear wheel axle position also modifies the wheelbase of the wheelchair. So the rear wheel can be positioned posterior or anterior. So the relative position of the rear wheel is decided based on where the axle is in comparison to the backrest. So you can see on the left side, the axle is a little posterior, and on the right side, you can see the image axle is anterior to the backrest. So once if the axle is anterior, the base reduces. So the stability on the wheelchair is less. The wheelchair will help with the stability to a lesser extent to the patient, and it depends more on the patient to control the wheelchair stable and to prevent the fall. In case of a axle position posterior, it is more stable, less risk of wheelchair tipping backward. So a patient who is higher level injury, not good control with terms of hand function or not good at stabilizing while maneuvering the wheelchair, go for a rear wheel posterior position. If the patient is good at maneuvering, you can go for rear wheel anterior position also. And another thing you need to consider for the axle position is the wheelie technique. So wheelie is when the patient lifts the caster wheel off the ground and balances on the rear wheel. So this wheelie is used by patients in outdoor environments, especially when the patient has to cross obstacles or uneven surface, or even sometimes while going down slope on uneven roads, patients go in a wheelie position. So this makes it easy because the caster wheel being small, it tends to get stuck on uneven surfaces and then the wheelchair will not move forward or it might just go off balance. So the patients use wheelie technique. So not all patients can be able to do wheelie. Usually in spinal cord injury, T4 level and below manage to do wheelie. Lower the level of spinal cord injury, more control the patient is going to have in the wheelie technique. So even in the wheelie, you can see on the left side, the axle position is posterior. So the extent of effort the patient requires to go into wheelie is more. Whereas on the right side, you can see because the axle is anterior, less pull is required to get the wheelie position. So if the patient is good at wheelie and good at controlling the position and stability, you can go for a axial position and anterior. If the patient is not very stable or does wheelie for short angles only or not able to do, or patient has limited hand function, there is a risk of the wheelchair tilting back and the patient falling, then preferably go for a rear wheel posterior position. So the wheelchairs which you select, you can see where the rear wheel position is, or you can talk to the company who's manufacturing or assembling it. If it can be position can be adjusted, you can adjust it accordingly. So one another feature you can have in a wheelchair is adjustable rear wheel axle position. Some wheelchair models come with adjusting mechanism. So in this, what you can do is the axle, it can be moved from posterior or anterior position. So this can be used in patients, especially if say the patient is in early phase of rehab, yet to have good stability and control on the wheelchair skills, but you feel that the patient's level of injury and the assessment findings, the strength and balance is such that with time they will gain good control of the wheelchair maneuvering, then you can, instead of buying a wheelchair with a fixed position of axle posterior or anterior, you can even buy an adjustable axle position type of wheelchair. So what you can do is, initial phase of rehab, you keep the axle posterior. As the patient improves on their wheelchair skills and wheelie control, you can just unscrew and fit it back more at an anterior axle position. So this you can help out yourself. It's with basic tools, or the company manufacturing or assembling it can also help you with the adjusting of the axle position. Another feature that you can have in some of the wheelchairs is quick release axle. Here you can see the axle on the outer side, there is like a button. When you press it, the axle position gets locked, gets released, and you can pull the wheel out. The rear wheel can be pulled out. So each of the rear wheel from either side can be removed and separated. So why you would go for this feature is especially for patients who travel outdoors in public transport or their own car or scooter. This mechanism helps to make the wheelchair more compact and easily keep inside. So if you can see here, every part is been detached, but if you have just a folding mechanism and a quick release axle, it is helpful. Say patient drives his own four-wheeler or two-wheeler with extra side seat, what they do is, once they shift to the vehicle, they detach the axle, the wheel, each wheel, they keep it inside in the vehicle, and they fold the wheelchair and keep it in. So separating by part and lifting, so it is lesser weight, it's much easy. Even patients with higher level of paraplegia can do this, as long as the patient has a good hand control. So this makes it easy for the patient to lift the wheelchair and put it inside himself without taking help. So the patient is traveling by vehicle outdoors, you can go for these features. So for the tire of the wheelchair, it can be a solid tire or a pneumatic tire. So solid tires are usually a little heavier than the pneumatic tires. So the solid tire, the advantage is that you don't have issues with regularly adjusting the air pressure. It will not puncture, but they work well on smooth level surface. If the surface is uneven, these tires make it unstable for the wheelchair. So patient has to control the wheelchair much more, and the wheelchair stability reduces. Whereas in pneumatic wheelchair, they work very well on uneven surfaces. They are good at balancing because of the air pressure inside. But the disadvantage is they need regular maintenance. Regularly, the air pressure has to be checked and adjusted. If there is a puncture, again, riding the wheelchair becomes difficult. So if the patient is moving the wheelchair more on the level surfaces only, you can go for a solid tire. So the maintenance work is easy. If the patient has to go on uneven surfaces, you prefer for a pneumatic tire, which will give a more stable wheelchair maneuvering. The brakes can also be a short lever or a long lever. If the patient has limited hand function and using a manual wheelchair, you can instead go for a long lever. Or if the patient has shoulder pain and issues, you can go for a long lever, so it becomes easy to reach and put the brakes on the wheelchair. So a short lever brake can be modified to a long lever by adding these extensions and screwing it to the already existent brake. The push handle has to be considered when the patient takes the help of a caregiver for propelling the wheelchair. Sometimes it might happen that higher level spinal cord injury, if say they cannot afford a powered wheelchair, they might be using a manual wheelchair, or higher level injuries with limited hand function may propel manual wheelchair independently indoors and few of the outdoor environments, but uneven surface and slope, they might take help from the caregiver. In that case, you have to make sure that the push handle is there in the wheelchair and it is such that it is easy for the caregiver to help the wheelchair to be pushed. So for the push handle, you can have a regular push handle or you can have extensions fitted, so the caregiver doesn't have to lean too much forward, can easily hold the push handle and propel the wheelchair. Or you can have something like a push bar, which is much more easy to grab and it gives a larger surface area and grip. In patients who tend to go on slopes, it is preferable that you keep a push handle with a brake. So on the slope, if the wheelchair starts sliding quickly down slope, the brake can be used by the caregiver. So in that cases, go for a push handle with the brakes. So anti-tip bar is a bar on the posterior side. This can be separately bought and attached to any manual wheelchair if the patient requires it. The advantage in this is, if say the wheelchair starts tilting backward and the patient is falling, beyond a certain angle, it will not tip backward. Once the anti-tip bar touches the ground, the wheelchair tipping will stop. So the patient has less risk of falling. So this has to be used in higher level injury patients who don't have good skills with wheelie. You can use this anti-tip bar. So you can see in this the patient, the angle till which the wheelchair is tilted. A patient with a good wheelie control can hold the position and bring the wheelchair to vertical, whereas a person who's not good at controlling the wheelie might just fall backward. For those patients, you can fit the anti-tip bars. One disadvantage with anti-tip bar is you can only do a short angle of wheelie tilt if you have an anti-tip bar. Larger angle is not possible because the bar will block it. So if the patient tends to use higher angle of wheelie, like you can see this much angle of tilting, and the patient is able to control, then don't fix the anti-tip bars for that patient. For higher level patients, you can go for anti-tip bars. One additional modification you can have in manual wheelchair is a power assist. This makes the manual wheelchair run like a powered wheelchair. So the motor is fitted below the seat. The motor extension can be at the rear wheel axle, or on the right side you can see the motor extension is on the posterior side. There is a button to start the motor whenever you want to propel with power assist. Once the button is started, one or two swings of the push rim, once the patient does, automatically the wheelchair will start moving forward on its own. If the patient wants to increase the speed, they have to give one or two quick propulsions, then the speed of the motor increases and the power assist runs faster. If they push it a little slower, the speed will slow down. So there are different speed control modes also available in this. So this can be opted for if the patient has high level of fatigue and they have to propel wheelchair for longer distances, or in case of patients whose upper limbs are weak. To reduce the fatigue in the patient, they can use these power assist attached to the wheelchairs. So for the cushions, every wheelchair, it's better to have a cushion also prescribed, because the cushion gives many advantages. It distributes the patient's body weight evenly on the seat, because the cushion will absorb part of the body weight of the patient and make the patient sit more properly. Because of the pressure distribution with the cushion, the risk of bed sore also reduces when the patient is sitting on the wheelchair. Also, the pressure distribution improves the alignment of the pelvis, and patient sits more upright with cushion than without the cushion. The cushion can be of various types depending on the material that is being used. It can be a flat foam cushion or a contoured cushion. A flat foam cushion is a simple cushion, easy to make. It is available commercially. It's very low cost. So this cushion can be opted for patient who just needs slight support from the cushion and who is not at a high risk of a pressure sore. If the patient has high risk of pressure sore, say the sensation at the pelvic area is lacking, If the patient's lower limb are severely paralyzed and they cannot change their position or shift their weight, in those patients the risk is more. So instead of a flat foam cushion, you can go for a contoured cushion. The advantage in foam cushion is it is moldable. You can keep it single layer or multi-layer. You can increase the thickness. The cost is cheap. So these are the advantage. The disadvantage with this is the heat generated by the foam. So sitting for a long time on the wheelchair with the cushion, there is heat generated, and it's sometimes uncomfortable for the patient and also increases a little risk of the pressure. So patients requiring more support, you can go for a pressure relief foam cushion, that is a contoured cushion. So you can see there is a well for the sacrum, so that there is no pressure on the sacrum. The ischial tuberosities will sit on the either side. Even there is a groove for the thighs, so that the legs weight also falls on the front side and it is comfortably positioned. You can even go for air or gel cushions. Air cushion can be a single layer air or multiple pockets of air, like you can see here in Broho cushion. So this also gives a good pressure relief, but only disadvantage is if the cushion punctures, then you will have to repair it or replace it. That is the disadvantage with air cushions. You can also use the gel cushion instead. In gel cushion, it doesn't support the weight, it molds according to the weight. So wherever the patient's pelvic pressure is more, it will sink in. Where the pressure is less, it sinks to a lesser extent. So it gives good support, but it will mold as per the shape of the patient's pelvis according to the way they are sitting. So in this, you don't have the disadvantage of the heat generation like in the foam cushion, but these cushions are more of a higher cost compared to a foam cushion. So the cost wise, there is a difference. The cushion should always be prescribed with a cushion cover. The cover should be washable so that it can be washed and cleaned if it gets soiled. It should be water resistant so that when the patient is sitting on the wheelchair with a cushion, if something drops on the cover, the liquid shouldn't sink in and spoil the cushion. The cover also should be a little loose material and stretchy, so that once with the weight of the patient's body on the cover and the cushion will mold according to the pressure of the pelvis of the patient. The cover should allow for the pressure distribution. Also, what you can do is for the patients, you can advise to keep two cushion covers. So if one is gone for washing and drying, they can use the other cover. So just to improve the understanding on all these features, I'll give you a case scenario. So if say you have a T10 level complete spinal cord injury, so he lives in a rural area, uneven muddy surfaces, then what wheelchair features you would go for in terms of the backrest, seat, the wheel, the push rim, what all things you feel you would consider? If say any specific feature you would go for, you can put the answer in the chat section. Yes, pneumatic wheel is correct, because uneven surface, pneumatic wheel is stable. Solid wheel will not give as much stability. Yes, low backrest, because T10 level of injury would have better sitting balance. So low backrest will work. Yes, that's correct. Three-wheeled wheelchair you can prefer because of the uneven surface. A three-wheel wheelchair is less chances to tilt and fall. Okay, so the posterior axle need not be kept. For a T10 level of injury, their trunk muscle strength is there above the level of injury. They have more sitting stability. So if the patient learns wheelie, after the patient learns wheelie, instead of a posterior axle, you can even go for an anterior axle. Lower leg spinal cord injury patients are very good at the wheelie techniques. So you can go for an anterior axle position. Yes, short liver breaks will do considering the level of injury. Yes, regular cushion will do, but you can see if the patient is obese, then more risk of pressure sore, or patient is too lean, then there is less fat layer covering over the bony prominence. Those patients are more at a risk of pressure sore. You can go for a contoured cushion instead of a flat cushion. So you can check the patient's assessment and decide whether you want a flat cushion or a contoured cushion. Yes. So the calf straps you will see based on the spasticity of the patient's in the lower limb. So accordingly, you can either go for a calf strap or an ankle strap. Swing away footrest is correct. That is because these patients will be able to do wheelchair to floor transfer also because they are lower level injuries. So if they are going to shift to the floor in their daily routine, then go for a swing away footrest. So we'll take just one more case scenario. Say you have a T2 level of injury with a desk job, travels by his own car self-driven to workplace, and there is a ramp at the workplace. So what features you would consider? You can put it in the chat section. Okay, yes, solid wheels would be good. Folding mechanism is required because the patient has to lift and keep the wheelchair inside his car. High backrest, yes, because higher level injury. Unless the patient, if it is incomplete injury and has good trunk control and posture in sitting, then you can decide for a low backrest. Otherwise, most likely the patient will require a high backrest. Brakes, regular brakes will do. Four-wheel wheelbase will do. If the level of the ground is smooth, there is no issue. Footrest hanger can be fixed, less likely for T2 level of injury to shift from wheelchair to floor unless it's an incomplete injury with more amount of trunk control, they will not be doing wheelchair to floor. One more thing you have to consider is a low armrest for this patient. Patient is doing desk job. To sit next to the desk, the armrest has to go under the desk so that the patient can sit near and sit straight on the wheelchair. So go for a low armrest wheelchair for this patient. Yes, so most of you all have given the right answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Uttara. So it was nice presentations. The many questions are here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So first question is, what type of wheelchair modifications to be done if the patient is having bed sore at the sacral region?
First thing, if the patient has bed sore, it's better that the patient avoids sitting position so that the bed sore heals. If suppose say the patient is having a mild bed sore, you can go for a pressure relief cushion like the foam pressure relief cushion because in that you have a well at the sacral area, so the pressure on the sacral area reduces. Or you even have ring cushions of foam type that can be used till the pressure sore gets relieved. But it would be better that the patient avoids sitting for long duration until the pressure sore heals completely.
Okay, fine. So when to give a high or a low armrest wheelchair? When you prescribe?
The high or low armrest will depend on the patient's height. So, like in the initial slides, I had mentioned that appropriate wheelchair should match the wheelchair user. So, if the patient's height is more, you can go for a higher armrest. And also, in case of patients who are higher level injury, the armrest higher gives additional lateral support, so that makes it more comfortable. If lower level injury, you can go for a low armrest, or in case of active wheelchairs without armrest also will do. And another thing to consider, if the patient tends to sit and work on a desk or patient uses dining table for meals, low armrest wheelchair would be better because that will go under the table and the patient can sit close to the desk. So these things you have to see in patient's history and then accordingly decide. But make sure that even when you take high armrest wheelchair, it shouldn't block the patient's hand from reaching the rear wheel. Okay, so this actually requires more in terms of wheelchair prescription. That is like a detailed assessment separately, that is their format for assessing the patient and measuring the patient's body measurement and prescribing the wheelchair accordingly.
If the patient is having muscular dystrophy, which type of wheelchair it will be useful, most useful?
it again depends on the patient's muscle strength and how severely it is affected. So usually these patients, when the muscle dystrophy patient ends up being wheelchair bound and not able to ambulate independently, those patients usually have even the trunk muscles impaired. So the patient would be better in a high arm backrest wheelchair rather than a low backrest, because that will give more support to the trunk and better sitting position. And you can additionally give a contoured cushion so that the pelvic position is maintained at neutral. Otherwise, some of these patients might even show anterior pelvic tilt once the core muscle weakness starts. So go for a high backrest with a contoured cushion with that will give a proper support to the patient.
Okay. What are the best activities can add while put on the wheelchair?
I didn't understand your question.
What are the best activities can you add while patient will putting on the wheelchair?
While sitting on the wheelchair.
Yes. Yes.
So while sitting on the wheelchair, there are a few things the patient has to do for pressure relief. So one thing is, if the patient can do a push-up or lean on side, they have to relieve the pressure so that the sacral area pressure gets reduced. Also, patient needs environment modifications. We'll discuss about it more on next webinar. So all the things that they use, like the table, the basin, things on the shelf, it should be at a height such that the patient sits on the wheelchair can access it. So these kind of modifications you have to see. So it's not like a one factor that decides the wheelchair feature. There are a lot of things in the history and patient's assessment. Also, you need to assess how the patient does transfers and the wheelchair skills, and accordingly decide the features that you would go for.
Okay. What are the unique features of para athletes wheelchair used in the sports?
So in sports, wheelchairs usually is a different type of wheelchair. So they are often low backrest, and they some of them have a angulated rear wheel. That angulated rear wheel gives more propulsion force, and they are lightweight so that patient can easily propel the wheelchair with less efforts and less of fatigue. So these are the features you will have in sports wheelchair. Sport wheelchair are separately available models. So if the patient is into sports, you will go for this. Okay. So if you see in terms of a wheelchair, WHO classifies wheelchair into 4 types based on how the patient is going to use the wheelchair. It can be a passive wheelchair wherein high backrest with or without head support, and the patient depends on the caregiver to hold the push handle and propel the wheelchair. So accordingly, you see more in terms of push handle position. If you have a semi-active wheelchair, that is the patient maneuvers wheelchair on their own in some of the areas, but uneven surface, outdoor or slope, they tend to take help of the caregiver. So then you would go for a high backrest wheelchair with proper push handle, so that whenever the caregiver has to help, they can help. Or you can go for an active wheelchair. Active wheelchair is low backrest wheelchair. This is for lower level spinal cord injuries or patients with any medical conditions with good trunk control and lower limb paralyzed. So they will maneuver the wheelchair on their own independently in all surfaces, will often be able to do wheelie. So based on this history, you will decide on the wheelchair. The fourth type is the sports wheelchair. Sports wheelchair is to be used only while performing in the sports. So those wheelchairs are much different. Rear wheel angulation. So these can be opted for if the patient is participating in the wheelchair sports.
Okay. Do we have companies in Maharashtra to customize the power wheelchair with the low cost?
So many of the wheelchairs and the parts available in India are from abroad companies. There are few companies in India. What you can do is, like in Mumbai also uh, you have Cosmocare company, you have Karma, these wheelchairs are available. So these companies, they have their centers in different cities. So you can go reach out to them, talk to their manager, you can get their brochure. If they can provide you with all the details of the wheelchair, like the features of each of the model in detail with the dimensions of the wheelchair, you can take these into consideration. So once you have a catalog and details in your hand, once you assess the patient, you know what features you are going for, then you can check from these wheelchairs which one would best suit nearest match for the patient, and then you order and prescribe for that type of wheelchair. So the best way to go about is get all the catalogs and information of what all companies uh, have their workshop in your city locally, and or you have a dealer locally, get all the details from them. So some of these companies they have in all cities, major cities in Maharashtra, so you can get in touch with them. And the some of these companies do manufacture the additional power assist and other models. You can go for that. Even there was one uh, project, the IIT project in Bangalore, where they made a different kind of power assist. It had a handlebar in the front, and the power assist is connected to the footrest hanger, and it has a motor, so you can start with a button and ride like you would ride a bike. So such kind of models are available. So if it is not in your city, you can ask them to dispatch it to your location on your address if the company can arrange for it.
Now the last question, is there any scales or questionnaire used for the assessment?
For the assessment, usually there is WHO guidelines for wheelchair user assessment. It includes history, like the points I had mentioned earlier, how much time the patient sits on the wheelchair, what all things they do, activities they do on the wheelchair, what wheelchair skills and transfer they perform, whether they use Indian toilet or a Western toilet, whether they already have a pressure sore or they are at a risk of pressure sore. These things you will ask in the history. In the assessment, it includes body measurement for the patient's backrest, for the seat, for the footrest length. So these measurements are to be taken. There are specific guidelines for this. You can learn this from the wheelchair service training course. It's a certified course organized by International Society of Wheelchair Professionals. So this is originally in Pittsburgh, but their courses are conducted in India also in collaboration with a Mobility India organization in Bangalore. They regularly conduct these courses. So this course comes with a basic level and an intermediate level. So once you do this course, the assessment formats will be available. You can learn how to do this assessment and accordingly prescribe the wheelchair.
Thank you, Dr. Uttara. Nirali, unmute your mic.
Please unmute yourself.
Bolo ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Nirali.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Dr. Uttara. It was a great and a very, very informative session. And I think a topic which is not very often covered as well. So I'm sure it was a great learning for each one of us. I would like to thank a lot to IIP technical team. Thank you, Dr. Uttara. Thank you, Dr. Ruchi Vashne, Dr. Sanjeev Jha, and the entire Maharashtra IIP team. And last but not the least, all the participants, because without you, this would not have been possible. Any queries that you have, you all can please post it in the WhatsApp group. We will answer all the question and answers there as well. So please continue to put your questions there and join us tomorrow as well for the session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all the attendees and the IAP to provide this platform to all of us, and wonderful job by IAPWC Maharashtra team for this presentation, which was very apt as well as very timely done. Thank you all.